Welcome to Stream, a trucktractortrailer.com production. My name is Zach Miller. I'm your host, and I'm really excited about this conversation. I'm joined today by Derrick Williams, who is the host of the Trucking Entrepreneurs podcast. Derrick, welcome. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it, man. Appreciate the opportunity and you taking time out for me. I really do.
Oh, of course. So, but let's talk about this. So you've been doing the Trucking Entrepreneurs podcast for it's about 6 months now, right?
Roughly, yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
So how'd you get started in that?
Well, basically, the whole podcast thing came from me taking 2 courses for a freight dispatcher. And my first intent was to become a freight dispatcher once I finished those courses. But, as I share with everybody, God said otherwise. And I wind up a couple of days after finishing that second course, with prayer and meditation, he led me towards podcasting along with my wife confirming it. And from there, it's been history, man. Just been taking the experiences I had, my goodness, what was it? 15, 17 years ago, something like that, of driving box trucks for a food snack delivery company, a lot of years of customer service, just combining everything in there and the knowledge that I learned from the freight dispatching courses, and just went ahead and stepped out on faith, man, and started the podcast.
That's a beautiful thing. That's beautiful. I love it. And I love how, that really is so much of trucking that we don't talk about. There is that entrepreneurial mindset, that entrepreneurial spirit, and the fact that you could take a skill and transfer it to a different aspect, of the industry, if you so choose, or if that's where your pathway goes, because these are really great skills and knowledge to have. And I think that, I'm so glad you started the podcast because, it's something we talk a lot about here on Stream in that this is a very entrepreneurial, very transferable skill type of industry. And the American people don't quite see that and understand that. So I think that's where podcasting can kind of come in and bridge that gap, where the people have a better understanding of what really goes into the industry here.
Correct. Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
So here's what I'm really curious about, though. So you've been doing this podcast, as we said, for about 6 months now. So what have you learned? You've had a really interesting group of guests coming on your pod, and I know you're starting to branch out and be guests on others as well. So what lesson, and as we talk about, what a fascinating last couple of years it's been in trucking and transportation and logistics. So here we are, we've been going through everything we've been going through, COVID, supply chain, inflation, all that stuff. And here you are starting this podcast about 6 months ago. What have you learned and seen from your conversations?
Well, one of the main thing is being able to adapt and pivot in this industry. And, you brought up pandemic, which, caused a lot of havoc, not only in the trucking logistics industry, that's in all, industries. And just seeing how different entrepreneurs that I've interviewed, and then also paying attention to LinkedIn and different social media platforms, a lot of them have, were smart enough to adapt and then pivot to, either branch off into something else to help keep the business afloat, or if they had a brick and mortar type of business, they may have branched off into, e-commerce, online business or something like that to keep it going. And, as we've been around, I don't know how old you are, but, we've been around long enough to know something else is coming. We don't know when and where, but this pandemic should have taught us a valuable lesson. We better be prepared to adapt. And that's what I've learned from a lot of entrepreneurs I've associated with.